So it's a new year. A lot of us kicking off 2020 with a focus on better habits. We all want to be healthier as the new year and new decade is here. There's another method, though. It's at the top of the list right now. It's called intermittent fasting.
A lot of people are talking about it. It's popular with celebrities. A lot of people in our newsroom are trying it out. We want to know exactly what it is. So to break it down, we have a health expert here, Dr.Myles Spar. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure, it's great to be here.
So I've been like talking to you during the break.
Everybody in the newsroom, yeah.
So a lot of people have been asking me what I've been doing because I've recently lost some weight, a lot of weight, and it's been noticeable, and I didn't really want to talk about it because I'm not an expert, but I've been doing intermittent fasting since June, pretty seriously, after going to my doctor. And so it's not new, so these are some before and afters. Oh my God.
Oh, look at you, you look great.
Yeah, so you know, here's the thing, and I've been pretty open about it on my social media, explaining to people that I probably went on my first diet in 4th grade, honestly. I had, so I've always kind of been up and down, a little bit of yo-yoing. I've tried probably every diet out there, but this to me was a game changer because it was more about health.
Right.
So can you talk about that?
Sure. First of all, it's very easy to follow, and so that's one thing that I love about it, because as you saw the impact you've had despite trying numerous things over the years, this is something that can work for pretty much anybody. I work with a lot of men as a men's health expert, and men love things that are simple, that aren't complicated, and that are effective. So just like it worked for you, it works for a lot of people. But basically, it's all about taking chunks of time when you just stop opening your pie hole and stuffing it with food. And we're used to eating all the time. But if you take regular chunks of time, most of the time we try for about 16 hours a day out of a 24-hour period.
And 8 hours of it you're sleeping.
Right.
So that's pretty
easy.
It's
not that hard. Right. So most people just skip breakfast. They'll start eating with lunch, let's say at 12 o'clock. They'll stop eating at 8 o'clock. And then that prevents that late night snacking, which is a big problem for people. And it gives your body time to get rid of junk cells and get rid of junk that is inflammatory. So it's not only great for weight loss like you experienced, it's like a detox you're doing every day.
Right. A lot of people go, oh, fasting, that's bad.
Right.
You shouldn't do it. And that's why I didn't really want to talk about it too much, because I didn't want to encourage people to do it and then they get sick, you know. Or, it's not just fasting, it's just, you know, organizing it in a way that works for you.
Right. Well, it's not starvation. You're not breaking down important muscle and protein. You're actually changing from blood sugar to using fat as a source of fuel. So that's actually very efficient for the body. It's not bad for the body, and it helps you actually feel better, and it's good for longevity because it makes your body get more efficient. So you do cellular cleansing, something called autophagy. When you don't have enough resources to constantly fuel all the junk cells, your body says, I need to get more efficient. Let's get rid of the cellular debris we don't need. And that's actually anti-aging, good for inflammation, good for all of the processes that lead to diseases.
So just to be clear, it's 16 hours off, 8 hours on? Is that
That's one way. There are multiple ways to do it. So that's one of the more common ways to do it. But some people prefer to have 24-hour periods where they fast. It's a little more intense, so maybe twice a week, like Mondays and Thursdays.
And do you exercise during those periods as well?
You can, yeah. The only kind of exercise I don't really recommend when you're doing intermittent fasting is endurance training. If you're training for a marathon or an Ironman or some long race where you really need energy throughout the day. But otherwise, exercise is great. With the 16-hour fast, it's perfect to do your training right after the fast, because then you start burning fat right away.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah,
and I found I was like, oh my, I'm going to be so hungry, I can't do this. And I tried it one day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I got through, a 30-minute spin class, no problem.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, you don't think you can do it. That's the other thing. People think, oh, we have to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have to have your 2 snacks.
Right.
I didn't realize you don't really need to.
Most people don't. Very few people do. You know, if some people have low blood sugar issues, or some people, like I have teenage children, I wouldn't recommend teens or younger kids do this. They need energy because they're constantly growing. So, and like the endurance athlete, pretty much anybody else can safely do this. And when you exercise like that, if you refeed right after you finish your exercise, that's the perfect time to really get the benefit of the exercise.
So if someone's out there watching, they're saying, okay, I'm going to do that.
Right.
That's not necessarily the best idea. Do we want to consult a professional and
always,
say,
right.
Okay.
Whenever you're making any kind of change, it's always good to check in with your medical professional that you go to. But for most people, it's very safe. There's really no downside to it. The biggest thing I have to tell patients about is don't think that, oh, now I get to compress everything I would have eaten in a 24-hour period into that 8 hours, because that's going to defeat the purpose.
Right.
So you want to skip breakfast and then eat your regular lunch, eat your regular dinner. Don't try and say, well, I need to also have that muffin I would have had with breakfast as a snack, because that's going to undermine your effort.
And if you're mindful of it, you kind of want to eat something healthy.
Right.
If you've been fasting for a long time, if you go 18 hours or 20 hours and you end up with one meal, you want it to be a really good meal.
Exactly.
A lot of people have been reaching out to me on social media. We've been talking about it. A lot of people keep asking me about diabetes. Like, they want to do it because they know they have to lose weight because of diabetes.
Right.
Which also runs in my family, so that was a concern for me. But they think they can't because they're taking insulin. They have to eat those 3 meals, all of that. How do you do with it?
You have to work with your healthcare practitioner, and you may have to adjust your insulin level, because actually intermittent fasting lowers insulin by itself. So it's great for diabetes. It's shown to reverse diabetes among some people. So it's perfect for people with blood sugar issues, and it actually helps to have them maybe need less medication or less insulin.
Is there anything you could think about, someone is living with something, can you tell them, say, okay, this is not for you?
Right. Not really, honestly. It's really something to check in with your healthcare practitioner about, but there isn't any contraindication, is what we say in medicine. There isn't anything that specifically would say, no, this is not for you. But you go by how you feel. If you do this and you feel dizzy or lightheaded, then maybe try a 12-hour period of fasting as opposed to 16 hours. Everything needs to be individualized. Some people can't exercise like you did, Lynette, on a fasting program because they just don't feel it, and then they need to eat a little something before they exercise.
And it's not like a secret. It's not new.
Right.
This has been done. People have been fasting for religious reasons for centuries, right?
Exactly. Spiritual reasons, religious reasons, and now the science is catching up, and there's so much science out there showing the benefits, not just for weight loss like you experienced, but for brain health, for preventing heart disease, for treating blood pressure, treating diabetes. There's so many benefits.
For dementia and Alzheimer's, that was big for me.
That's a big one, right.
Yeah.
It's a huge benefit for brain health, and it kind of works in 2 ways. Number one, it does detox like we talked about. So it helps with this autophagy, which helps get rid of junk cells, but it also has been shown to increase something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. It doesn't matter what it is. The bottom line is that's what builds nerve cells. We used to think you couldn't regenerate nerve cells. You can. Exercise does that, but so does intermittent fasting. And then the third way it really helps the brain is we know insulin is terrible for dementia. So if you can lower insulin like intermittent fasting does, that really helps with decreasing risk for dementia.
I have a million questions. Are we out of time? I expect somebody to say rap, because it's interesting.
Well, I'm curious to know, and your transformation, her transformation, how does that fall in line with the average person? Because I'd say you did it fast, right?
Right.
Well, it seemed like it was fast. People thought I was sick. There were all kinds of questions. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry you're sick. What's happening? It really wasn't as fast as it seemed, but it was consistent because I was really dedicated.
Yeah, right.
And I was really into it. And like I said, I researched like crazy. I was obsessed with information. But I didn't ever really lose more than 2.5 pounds a week, which is what you're supposed to lose. So there was like 1 month that it was like 10 pounds maybe.
Right.
But for the most part, it was just very consistent.
Perfect. Yeah, that's typical. That's not atypical. You know, and it's one of those things men and women both really respond, because there are some diets women don't respond as well as men, and that gets frustrating.
Right.
But no, that is actually pretty typical if you really adhere to it. And there are apps that can help you. You can just use your timer on your smartphone to really check and see. But again, it's something that as long as you really watch what you're eating during your feeding window, it sounds kind of like an animal.
I know. I would say that all the time. I'm like, my feeding window is closed. I can't have it, honey. You're like, are you a cow? What is going on?
I know. But no, and it's so easy to follow. It's one of those things where if you have a social event, you have a wedding or something to go to, you plan it out.
Yeah,
so
you just change your fasting times.
Exactly. You don't have to be one of those people that say, oh, sorry, I can't go out to the bar with you. I can't go do this with you. I can't go to this event. Oh, I'm not going to eat the cake. You know, this way you can just fit it into your regular life. But yeah, your results, while you worked extra hard and you clearly were really careful what you ate in that feeding window, so you got extraordinary results, that's typical.
Well, I ate ice cream. I did eat ice cream. I have to.
Everyone do a cheat meal, right?
Yeah, I think so. Especially once or twice a week. Yeah, I wouldn't do that every day during your feeding window.
No, I don't, because you really do want to eat healthy.
Absolutely.
Doctor, thank you so much for the information. We're going to continue to delve into the research and make sure that we're giving our viewers as much information as possible, and also encourage you to do the same thing. If you would like more information about Dr.Myles Spar, you can look for him at drspar.com, S-P-A-R, drspar.com, and also at vaulthealth.com, and he has this book, Optimal Men's Health. Thanks,
Thank you. Good job.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.